Good morning, sweet friends. I am so excited for today because we are going to be talking about one of my favorite things ever, which is garlic scapes. Now, this is something that wasn't on my radar until I started shopping at farmers markets. You are probably not going to find this food in a grocery store. This is certainly not a new invention of food. This is something that people have been harvesting ever since they've been growing hardneck garlic. So hardneck garlic, and it literally has like that hard stem. So you think about like when you see braided garlic, maybe in a restaurant, that's soft neck. Hardneck garlic will send up a shoot. I don't think I'm going to be able to stretch this out very well, but first it comes out and it's a straight shoot. And this stem, this shoot, is trying to make a flower. The flower would be right there. And as it grows, it begins to curl. And right about when you got that first circle, some people wait a little longer. I think you have to just kind of experiment and see what works for you because you don't want to let it go too far past its like tender stage. But you can, give a couple of them a few more days and see what happens. You want to go in and you just pluck. You can use a knife. I just kind of pluck it. Pluck the garlic scape from the plant. And then what this does is it forces all the energy down into the bulb, which is kind of the point of growing the garlic. Now, I would grow garlic literally for these. This is one of the most delicious foods, in my opinion, that you can harvest from the garden. I'm going to let one of my garlic plants flower, just as an experiment, just to watch and see what happens, because I think when we're growing food, it is important to watch a food go from beginning to end. Watch how it sends out flowers. Watch how it sends out seeds. How would this flower choose to behave if we weren't controlling it? What is its life cycle like? And then you really get to understand the plant. The bonus is you will be gifted with the most beautiful flowers on most of these plants that you've ever seen. Pollinators will go crazy for them. So I won't do it on all my garlic because I want my garlic to be, beautiful bulbs that I'm going to be able to store long term. I grow my garlic for the year. When it's out, and we switch over to things that are in the freezer, like these garlic scapes and spring onions and chives. So, or if we've fermented garlic, here's what I do for my main method of preserving the garlic scapes, along with eating a bunch of them fresh with like morning eggs, in rice dishes, in pasta dishes, protein dishes. You could add these anywhere. So what I do is they're first coming off the plant is I just collect them in a plastic bag in my fridge. I just took a few. I'm just kind of waiting a little bit longer to see if they're going to grow any longer. And I just pop them in as I pick them. So as I'm doing like my garden walkthroughs, I'll just grab a couple that look like they're done, come inside, put them in the fridge. So then, it's a curly little vegetable. So what I do is I cut it right to that part, to that seam where the flower bud is going to be. And these I will put into a baggie in my freezer where I make stock. So that's what this part will be for me. And then you've got this incredibly tender, delicious scape. And what you can do to kind of make it a little easier to chop is you can just kind of cut it so it's no longer in a circle. And then you just want to go through, and whatever size you like. I do these very similar to how I would do a green onion. And there you've got just a nice little pile of scapes that can go right into my morning eggs. Now, if I'm freezing the scapes, I like to use these containers, and I invested in a lot of these a few years ago. They're called like Ready-tainer. Trying to see if the name's on them. Trying to get the light to shine. I think they're called Ready-tainer, but I will link these below. These are from Amazon. I couldn't find them anywhere else, so if you're not a fan of Amazon, you can certainly go search or find something else, but these have been an incredible investment for me as far as preserving my own food. They come in all different sizes. I only just grabbed the smaller sizes to show you. Oh, that's the same, isn't it? There we go. And then I've got 2 more sizes above this, up to 32 ounce, I believe. So I would say when you're doing something like this, what you're gonna do is have a bunch of these come in. And if you wanna make pesto, what you can do is just start to collect these. I mean, I could make pesto easily from how many I have right now, but let's say you're just harvesting a few at a time, or you wanna preserve these for the winter. This is what I do. So I would fill this up and then put the lid on. I would label it with my masking tape and my Sharpie. I would say what this is, garlic scapes, and then the date. That way I can stack up a bunch of these. Like I could stack up 6 or 7 of these filled with garlic scapes, and then in our overflow freezer, and I could, in our vegetable freezer, and then I could, each week as I'm like shopping my own freezer and my own pantry, I can take one of these out, put it in the freezer upstairs, and then as I go through the week, I can just take a little handful of these and use them for whatever I like. And that keeps them fresh all year long while you're waiting for your next harvest next year. So now let's just say we have that one garlic scape that we cut up and we're hungry for breakfast. Let's make a little garlic scape scrambled egg. So I'm just gonna add some oil to a hot cast iron pan. Just a little splash of avocado oil. And I'm just gonna turn this around a little bit. The trick with cast iron is it needs to be hot or things stick. So don't put your food in until it's nice and hot. Okay, while we're waiting for the stove to heat up, look at these beautiful eggs. Some neighbors came by the other day and we were talking to them, and I said that, you know, having chicken is one of the best things that I have done. And I hadn't really thought about it before I heard myself saying it, but it absolutely is. It is, I don't want to see that microwave. I hate microwaves. It is, when the chicken are free ranging, I barely have to give them anything else to eat. We got all the chicken coops, we have 2, off of Craigslist for free. You just have to go get them. So that can be a little challenging. And then we found free wood on the side of the road in front of this business that has been giving away free wood forever. And also Dave found a gazebo, cedar gazebo on Craigslist that somebody just wanted gone. So he and a friend went and they worked, who had a cedar hot tub too. They worked for 2 days taking this apart, and he ended up with all this cedar wood for free. So he built the chicken run with that wood. So if you are able to put in a very low amount of money to invest in having backyard chicken, you get this protein every single day, minus sometimes in the winter they might slow down. Some breeds do, some breeds don't. It's really, you know, but right now we're freezing, like I'm freezing 3 dozen eggs at a time. Put in those containers, I'll do a dozen eggs mixed up, freeze them with the date on, just like I do everything else. And then come winter, when things slow down, we'll have the ability to make a frittata, do scrambled eggs, add that to baking, whatever. But I just wanted you to see how pretty. I mean, we have green eggs, we have dark brown eggs, we have white eggs. We've got this blue color, and they're just lovely. Anyway, I think my pan's hot. Okay. Yeah, I really don't like microwaves. I'm not going to be taking this microwave out unless Dave thinks that's feasible, but I think when you do an apartment rental, you probably want to have a microwave, so I'm going to leave it. All right, so I'm going to throw in my garlic scapes. I never cook down here. I don't have any wooden spoons, so I'm just going to use this metal spoon. All right, now I can turn it down. And then I'm just gonna give these a very quick saute. Then I'll do 2 eggs. Pinch of salt. I don't have any pepper down here. What do I have? I have some of that beautiful oregano that we dried together. And so here's a little trick. I do not crush the herbs when I put them in the jar. I leave them as they are once they've dried, because if you crush them ahead of time, you're releasing all the oils. They won't stay as fresh and wonderful. So I just crush them once I'm going to be cooking with them, just like that. And then, you know, we also have those beautiful chives. So we can just pluck a few. These didn't get incredibly dry. They're mostly dry, but I'm not going to put the lid on the jar just yet. Let them dry out just a little bit more. Okay. And you can see nothing's sticking. You go like that, everything's off the pan. Beautiful garlic scape scrambled eggs. And there is the most beautiful breakfast. We've used garlic scapes from the garden, oregano, chive flowers, eggs from the backyard. And this is really a great example of a homesteading meal. And this is something that can be grown in a backyard or even in grow bags or pots, on a deck, on a balcony, on front stairs. I've decided to grow a lot of the herbs on our front stairs this year just to add some diversity everywhere, and especially those things like mint and lemon balm that like to kind of take over, having those in containers and pots. But you can just step right out your stairs, pick a few mint leaves and go make a cup of tea. Or I love adding fresh mint to eggs. I love fresh herbs and eggs, any herb whatsoever. First I go from radishes in my eggs, to arugula in my eggs, to chives in my eggs, to garlic scapes in my eggs, to kale in my eggs, to Swiss chard in my eggs. Now, probably the thing you hear the most about garlic scapes is garlic scape pesto. And we're gonna make some of that together. It is very easy and you can basically do it any way you like. I use these smaller size containers for freezing pesto because it is very strong, the garlic scape pesto. And then you can just, again, label it, stick it in the freezer, and you will have your pesto ready for the entire year. You can do a combination of things like kale pesto, arugula pesto, chard pesto, garlic scape pesto. I mean, it's just endless how many things you can make pesto. Now, somewhere, I don't know, in the middle of preserving last year, I stopped adding nuts or seeds and I just started making a sauce. It was basically whatever, you know, the kale, the basil, the garlic scape, oil, lemon, and salt and pepper. And that was it. And it kind of, it makes it a little bit more versatile. It takes away some of that thickness, so it's more of a sauce. And I just love the flavor of it. This pesto, I'm gonna do garlic scapes and soaked cashews. So I've had my cashews soaking here for a little bit, and then I'm just gonna drain them and we'll add those in. A little bit of lemon juice. I don't use cheese. Cheese gives me like sinus infections and asthma, so I either add nutritional yeast or I just leave it out completely. Now I do want to say you do not need to grow your own garlic scapes to have a harvest of garlic scapes that will last you through the year. Here's how you do it. You find a farmer's market and you go and you just buy up that thing that they have in season. So like I just bought up so much rhubarb and asparagus, and I cut up the rhubarb, it's in the freezer, it's waiting for strawberries to be fresh. We have tons of asparagus. So you don't have to grow this yourself to put this food in your freezer. And also this will take up very little space, these garlic scapes, but they will be high nutrition, high flavor, just a huge value. So, you know, when you go to the farmer's market, you don't have to buy a little bit of everything. You can buy that one thing that you know will be in season only now, and you can capture it and preserve it for your year ahead. All right, let's make pesto. So I've got 1 cup of the scapes. That's how many it ended up being from the remainder. Let me drain these. 1/2 cup of cashews. I'm not quite sure how much oil I want to use. I think that's about 1/4 cup there. We'll say 1/4 cup. We'll just go for it. A splash of lemon juice. And a pinch of salt. And that's pretty much it. And then you just kind of tweak it if it needs something more. You can taste it. You can see how it's blending. So this one obviously needs more oil. That wasn't enough. I didn't think it would be, but you never know. And then we'll resume. I'm gonna put in another 1/4 cup. See where that gets us. Taste. Oh, that's good. Normally I would not use something so heavy like cashews. Cashews make things very creamy, but that's kind of what I was going for this sauce. Typically I would use maybe like a very small amount of hemp seeds. That is a very light way to add just a little bit more nutrition and a little bit of texture. Walnuts are absolutely delicious. They're kind of my go-to. I've done pecans, I've done pistachios, all sorts of things. This one I was looking for like a real creamy pesto. Now, when I make those sauces I was telling you about, I really blend them. Like I blend them down good. A pesto is supposed to be more chunky. It's supposed to have some texture to it. Now, if you had basil at the same time, you could add that to this. I have fresh parsley. That would have been really good to add to this. But again, you can just keep it really, really simple. So then I have this gorgeous cashew garlic scape pesto. It tastes pretty perfect to me. I probably could add a tiny bit more lemon and I'd be happy, but I get nervous over putting too much lemon in things that other people are going to eat because not everybody likes lemon the way I like lemon. So then I'm just filling this container up, and this will be the first batch of preserved garlic scape pesto. So easy, so delicious. I hope you'll try it. I hope you'll find some space in your freezer for preserving some of these late spring foods. And I did want to say, something I forgot to say was that about a month after these garlic scapes come up, if you're growing your own garlic, that's when the garlic will be ready to harvest. So that's not a hard and fast rule. It's just right about that time. It's about a month from when this takes place. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for being part of the dialogue. Thank you for making me feel welcome as I step more deeply into this channel. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.